evening, everyone, and welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Penfield Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight's meeting is going to take place in two parts. The first part will be the public hearings. We'll ask applicants to come up to the podium and give us name and address, and then explain to the board members why the relief requested should be granted. Once the public hearings are adjourned, once the application once the applicant is done with the presentation, thank you, Pete, for nodding your head. We'll ask anyone, the board members will have some questions of the applicant, and then we'll ask anyone in the audience that cares to come up and speak about the application to also give us name and address and then talk about the application. Once the public hearings are adjourned, we'll take a brief recess and we'll reconvene in the back of the room to deliberate on tonight's application and then to take care of any unfinished business the board may have. Members of the public and applicants obviously are welcome at both phases, the public hearings and the deliberations. Although the deliberation, that's generally a time reserved for conversations amongst board members with staff, and then occasionally with our council. We have, for us, a rather lengthy agenda tonight. I think we have 9 or 10 items and a couple tabled items, so we may be here a while. Again, you're welcome to stay. If for whatever reason you want to leave, maybe because it's nice and sunny outside, you can call tomorrow to find out what action, if any, the board took on a particular application. I note every month that it's the town's practice and policy to notify neighbors that live near the property that is on the agenda that the matter is going to be heard by this board. And the town does that so neighbors are more fully informed of their right to come in and talk about the application. The town does it by requiring the applicant to post signs in the front of the property. The town does it by sending postcards to neighbors. And the town does it via advertising on the internet and posting on bulletin boards. We think it's a process that works well. We welcome all comments the public may have, and we certainly take them into consideration. And with that being said, I'd ask everyone to rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And Harold, may we have the first application, please?
Application number 1, James Houchin, 12 Beechbrook Lane, Rochester, New York, 14625, requests an area variance from Article 3-3-37-A of the Code to allow the construction of an enclosed porch with less setback at 12 Beechbrook Lane. The property is owned by James and Lorraine Houchin and is zone R-1-20. This is SBL number 108.12-1-76. This is application number 14Z-0027.
Hi, we're Jim and Lorraine Houchin. And a couple years ago, we requested a variance to build a deck on the back of our house so that we could enjoy summer meals outside, enjoying our backyard and the water feature we have. Unfortunately, we have found that as soon as we sit down, every biting insect in the neighborhood converges on Lorraine. We don't know why. They don't bother me at all, but they drive us in the house. And so we would like to convert that deck into a 3-season sun porch so that we can enjoy our yard.
No difference in the size or shape. It's the same size and shape, just up with windows so that I can sit out there.
And just so folks know, the reason you have to come back is because under the code, a deck is treated differently than an enclosed structure.
Right.
That's our understanding, yes.
And just so you know, here's samples.
I figure you're just sweeter than he is, that's all.
Oh, very much so.
Very sweet.
But it's the same thing, it's just it's going to be hopefully have windows.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, so again, there's gonna be, it's not gonna be larger, it's not gonna be any closer to the neighbors, it's
That's
just
right.
gonna
It's
be
the same
enclosed.
footprint as the
Same
deck.
footprint.
Same footprint, right.
Right.
And, do you think there'll be any undesirable change in the neighborhood because you're enclosing it rather than having it
We
open?
don't think so.
No.
Okay. Do you think there's any environmental impact gonna
Not
be
that I can see.
caused in your backyard?
No.
Okay. Are you gonna add any lighting, okay, to an outside lighting?
No lighting beyond what is presently on the house.
Okay, and that will actually then become inside your enclosed porch?
Correct.
Okay. Are you going to match the existing siding to your house?
It is
Because I
our
know your house
intention
is
that the
fairly
design
new.
will match what we presently
Yeah,
have.
so you can
Including
still find it.
windows.
And the windows too?
Yes.
Okay. And there's no going to be, there isn't going to be any heat out there, right? Because this is only a 3-season room.
That's correct.
Correct.
So you're not adding ductwork, you're not adding
That's
something
right.
like that? Okay. And the other thing that you want to do too is you want to take that awning off, correct?
Yes.
And you want to move it over to where the
There-
deck
there
area is?
There is a concrete patio adjacent to the deck,
Okay.
and we put a lot of money in that awning, so we just want to move that so that it will extend over the deck, or over the patio.
Yeah, because you do have to explain to the people, you do have a concrete patio
Correct.
to the
Correct.
side of your porch. So you want to move that awning over there.
Right.
And then you are going to extend the roof line so that you can cover up your patio. Am I correct?
No, to be able to fit the awning on.
Okay, that's right,
There's
yeah,
a
over on
slight-
the side. But
there's
you
a
are going to
slight
build a
roof.
roof out
There
over
is a
the,
slight-
And back on the patio, the house takes a jog,
okay.
so that we just need to extend that roof line out.
Right to where the
so
air
it's
conditioner
a
is.
consistent panel to which we mount the awning.
Okay, which will make it look more symmetrical, to tell you the truth,
Yes.
than if you did anything else. Okay. And again, you did it because you ended up in urgent care, right?
Yes.
So-
Twice in the emergency room once.
Yeah, and actually, when I was out there, I couldn't believe the amount of bees that were there. They are,
Yeah, we haven't figured out why they like us so much either.
yeah, well, you close it up and you won't care.
That's
So,
right.
Okay, that's all I had.
Thank you.
Anything else from the board? No. Anyone in the audience? Okay, folks, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Application number 2, Phil Palermo, 213 Torrey Pines Drive, Rochester, New York, 146112. Request an area variance from Article 3-3-37-A of the code to allow a single-family residence with less setback than required at 31 Sanfilippo Circle. The property is owned by Arlene and Phil Palermo and is zoned R-1-20. This is SBL number 108.12-1-82. This is application number 14Z-0028.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, this is it in a nutshell. We built the house, and when the final survey came through, we're approximately 2.5 inches too close to the street. I don't know, I mean, Mason didn't have a good tape measure. I don't have a clue how it happened, but it happened. So that's why we're requesting a new variance.
A whole 2.5 inches.
Okay, how long have you lived there?
I don't live there. This is my daughter's house.
Okay, how long has she lived there? April 11.
About a month.
Oh, okay.
Just moved in.
Oh, okay. Well, I asked this because back in 2005, we granted a 15-foot variance, and I'm wondering why 9 years later, you're before us.
I think it was just a construction mistake. I mean, on the original plan, we had a foot to play with, and somehow we ate that up plus, so.
But the mistake just came to light recently.
Yes.
The final survey
Okay.
of the house.
Okay, so it was just a contractor mistake. The foundation was just put in to the west, and it moved it a little bit over to the northwest. Is that
Yeah,
essentially to the northwest corner?
yep.
Okay. What room does this impact in your home?
I think it's den, right? The den.
The den? Okay. And obviously, there's no practical way of fixing this.
No.
Not unless you move the foundation and
Right.
the shingle, yeah, okay. Okay, so you're asking for a .20 foot variance. Okay, so it's approximately 57% less than the requirements.
No.
.57. Or just .57, just,
It's .2.
anyway, that's what we've got in our thing here.
0.57%.
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Real small.
0.57%.
Real
It's a
small.
real
Just say real
small, right.
0.5.
0.57.
It's less than 1%.
Less than
Percent.
1%. Right.
Okay, very minimal,
half a
in other
percent.
words.
Right. It's a little.
It's really a little.
I'm Lawrence Heininger,
How-
Vice President of Engineering for Marcus and Associates. We're talking about 0.57%. 'Cause I wrote the cover letter. The house was staked out 39 feet back, so there are 4 feet of fudge factor in this, and somehow the mason must have misread the stakes because you put a stake at every corner, and then you put offsets for the string lines, and somehow he must have figured the offset was the corner because the house shifted about 6 feet to the west, which pulled it, and you've got this reverse curve that does this little scallopy thing, and just that little corner turned out to be 34.8 to the shingles. It's 35 feet to the foundation, but the shingles, of course, kick out. And discussed this with Harold, and he said that it's got to be to the shingle, it's got to be to that structure. And you can't take the shingles off, or you would compromise the building envelope and the energy code. So and the other thing is, I pointed out that 20 years ago, before all this fancy CAD and survey equipment, you never would have picked it up in the field because you wouldn't have known where that house was in relationship to this line on an electronic drawing. So, you know, we're not the type of firm that fudges anything. It is what it is, and we need to go through the process to get that relief for that 2.5 inches to the shingles.
Yeah, and actually, he probably did you a favor, because if you ever went to sell the house and it was off, then you'd have to go through the whole procedure with tra-la-la, so,
Right.
Well, that's what happened.
yeah.
So we
mean,
appreciate you coming in now.
So on the next one, we're going to make darn
Make sure.
sure.
You're gonna fire the mason, right?
Yeah. They'll be, we're going to make darn sure that this doesn't wiggle in the field.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Nope.
Anyone in the audience care to speak about this? Okay, it's not surprising. Thank you.
Application number 3, Randall Peacock, RA, 339 East Avenue, Rochester, New York, 14604. On behalf of Tara Litchfield, requests an area variance from Article 3-3-37-A of the code to allow the construction of addition with less setback at 863 Penfield Road. The property is owned by Tara Litchfield and Zone R-1-20. This is SBL number 123.18-3-42. This is application number 14Z-0019.
Good evening. My name's Randy Peacock. I'm an architect. I'm working with the Litchfields on an addition to their house. The Litchfields, you've lived in the house 2 years? A year? Right? Since 2010. 4 years, I'm sorry. It's 863 Penfield Road. It's a very small house. The first floor of the house is about 930 square feet. The second floor is 602 square feet, and it's a 2-bedroom structure. It was built in 1860, so it's been there probably since Penfield Road was a cart path. The house sits currently at 27.7 feet off of the right-of-way line of the road. The Litchfields have just last week added to their family. They now have 2 children, and they only have a 2-bedroom house. What they'd like to do is add another bedroom, a 3rd bedroom to the house. That would take the total square footage of the house from 1,533 up to 1,757 square feet. The issue we have is that the current zoning ordinance requires a 50-foot setback from Penfield Road. We want to locate the addition on the east side of the house. There's a porch there that's about 6.5 feet deep. It's a very narrow porch. It's not really used. It's actually in a pretty poor state of repair. On my elevation that I provided to you, we'd be taking that porch off, 6.5 feet deep, and replacing it with the bedroom addition on the first floor of the house. It ends up a little bit over 12 feet deep. I think it's 12 foot 10 in depth. We would be setting that we'd be setting that new bedroom back a foot from the face of the existing house. So we're actually back a little bit behind the front line of the house now. That gives us a new setback of 28.7 feet off of Penfield Road. The reason for that, first of all, is to allow the original structure to be visible. You can still see the outline of the original house that was built there. And that then also gives us a little more relief from the street from what we had previously. The addition would not only take place of the porch that's there, the open porch that's there now, It would also involve the removal of a two-car parking area that is in that space right at the moment. We went out and looked up and down the street for an example of another house that is that close to Penfield Road as the Litchfield's house. Unfortunately, there isn't one. They are the closest to the road. Across the street at 950 Penfield Road, there's a structure there. It's close, but not as close as they are. So they do lead the neighborhood in being adjacent to the road. There are some structures to the west of them as well that are close to Penfield Road, but they're still about another 10 feet farther back from what they are currently. We don't believe that this addition in any way creates a negative effect on the neighborhood. It doesn't block anybody's view. It doesn't stand out in front of the existing house, so it maintains essentially the status quo of the structures in the neighborhood and actually sits a little bit behind that current setback line. We did look at alternatives. We can't build on the west side of the house because we would be too close to the side yard in that instance and have to seek a variance for that. The way the house is constructed, the two-story portions of the house on the front, you would have to actually go through a bathroom or a bedroom if we were to build on the second floor, this third bedroom. So that would eliminate a bedroom upstairs anyways. The only spot would be over the kitchen, which is at the south end of the house. It's a one-story area. And that area, as I mentioned, we'd have to go through an existing bathroom or bedroom to get there, so you'd lose out on those features in the house as well. So it's not really possible to put this bedroom on the second floor. It's not possible to put it on the west side. This is really the only feasible spot to build this third bedroom. We do not believe that the addition is detrimental in terms of square footage for the neighborhood. This is actually one of the smallest houses in the neighborhood. Tara did some research, and this will begin to bring it closer to the average of the size of houses in that neighborhood. I don't know, anything else that you can think of, Tara? Would you maybe like to say?
No, I mean, I guess one other thing I would say is that, I grew up in that house as a child, so, I lived there from age 5 until I left for college, and then, my mother, she was the owner of it all those years, and then gifted it to me in 2010, so it's been in our family for a long time.
Okay. Questions from the board?
Yeah, that drive or the pavement area, were you going to remove basically the entire section that comes out from the addition? So where
Correct.
the car could park now, you're going to take out the entire
Yep.
section?
Yeah.
And how tall is the addition going to be relative to the existing house? I know it's single
It's
story,
full-
but,
It's actually, we're extending the roof of the existing house down over the
okay.
addition,
So it's actually going to be lower.
it'll be lower, yes. It's only one story, and what you see is that gable on facing onto Penfield Road now just continues down. Well, I'm sorry, did we do it that way? I think that's what
It
you
had
said.
you said it had to go out a little bit because of the
Right,
fact that.
right. It kicks a little bit. It's not the exact same pitch. It kicks up a little bit in order to keep an 8-foot ceiling at the eastern wall of it.
Okay. Your presentation was thorough, so that answered all my questions from before.
I have one.
Okay.
You're going to remove the two-car parking area?
Correct.
Is that going to be replaced somewhere else, or where are those
There's
cars
actually
going?
additional parking to the south side of that, so there's plenty of
It's a
room in there.
large,
Yeah.
large driveway,
Yeah.
so it has a straightaway and then it has another hook to it, and it's just eliminating that.
Okay, I just wondered if you were going to put in another area like that. you know.
No, it would just.
Just gonna do the
probably
back.
repaint the whole thing, but just keep it basically one strip.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
I just want to ask, did you have a boy or a girl? And congratulations. How's
I
that?
had a boy.
Oh, congratulations.
Okay, anybody in the audience care to speak about this? Or the baby?
Name the baby.
All right, thank you very much. Next application, please.
Application number 4, Kimberly Mura and Jason Park, 869 Whalen Road, Penfield, New York, 14526. Request an area variance from Article 3-3-37-A of the code to allow the construction of a garage with less setback at 869 Whalen Road. The property is owned by Kimberly Mura and Jason Park and is zoned R-1-20. This is application, or SBL number 124.14-1-17. This is application number 14Z-0021.
Good evening. So yes, we're here to apply to have a garage put on the side of our house, connecting to Neville Creek, whereas currently our driveway is on Whalen Road. The house was originally built with a two-car garage, which was converted for business purposes. The previous owners had used it as a daycare. We've converted that room back to fully residential. It's not used for any business purposes at any point. So the only reasonable place to put a new garage would be on the Neville Creek side, which would, from the face of the garage, we plan on being about 36 feet to the, what I call the easement, or the mini gutter that runs the side of the road. It would be 24 feet deep, the garage itself, the structure, and 20 feet wide, a standard two-car garage. And we have actually brought the builder here with us tonight if you had any questions for him.
And the driveway would be across the edge, or the access to that would be across where the trees are right now?
I'm sorry?
Along Neville Creek there?
Yeah.
How many of those trees are you going to actually take out to be able to access that?
I believe 8 of the small trees will need to be removed.
8 of them? Okay. When I was there, it was actually quite wet last week.
It is.
How many considerations have you made in terms of dealing with the drainage and things like that, with the addition coming out and, you know, basically eliminating more of your yard for drainage?
Right. Well, I do feel it'll actually help because of those pine trees, the larger pine trees that are there, they tend to fill up that area and make drainage doesn't flow as well. So with the addition going in and the new driveway, we would put a pipe through that driveway and extend that pipe down all the way and kind of enclose it so it can't get filled up like it does today.
Would, currently this application doesn't involve putting a driveway in or anything like that. If we granted this application conditional on you removing the other driveway curb cut to Whalen, would you be opposed to that?
We would.
And what's the reasoning?
Well, this would be a very short driveway. If we were to have any company or there would be nowhere for them to park. I do have elderly family members, and I'd prefer that they would be able to enter easily through the old garage.
And also, it would probably there'd be a lot of parking on the street then. If we only had the small parking and we had people there, it probably would, not be as safe.
Kim and I would use the new driveway as our primary driveway, but we feel that it would be more beneficial to keep the other driveway as well.
That's all I have.
Are you aware that we cannot okay the driveway, that you're going to have to go to the town board?
Yes.
To do it? So in essence, if we okay this variance for the garage and they don't allow you to put a curb cut there, what's going to happen?
I haven't thought that far ahead. Everything's going to go just fine.
We're being positive.
Okay.
Have you considered reconverting the bedroom back to a garage?
It's actually, no, because that was one of the reasons why we did like the house. It is a very nice, large room. My great-grandfather had custom-built a pool table back in the 50s, and when we were house hunting, that was one of the prerequisites, that we would have a safe place to keep this pool table and keep it in the family.
It also would be, if we were to add an addition, convert it to a garage and add an addition, the cost would be much, much higher than what we want to do now. We also like aesthetically how it would look to have the garage attached to the house towards the Neville Creek side with the front porch. We think that it would add to the neighborhood. It would just be very appealing.
Thank you.
Are you aware of any other homes in the neighborhood that have 2 driveways, in essence?
Yes, there were a
Okay.
few, and when we submitted the variance application, there are a few pictures in there. We
Yeah.
found 3 other homes that do have 2 driveways.
Okay, which ones are they? I have the,
There was one at the corner of 5 Mile and Whalen,
Yep, the corner of 5 Mile and Whalen.
and
corner lot with dual driveways and the one right below it? Okay, so it's not all that unusual to have 2 driveways.
right,
No.
and it's a unique situation too. I think it's just, we've looked at every way of trying to put on a garage. We can't think of a better option than this one.
Also, we are, from what we can tell, one of the only houses in our neighborhood without a garage. So we do feel that it would go with the rest of the neighborhood if we were to have one, instead of our cars just sitting outside all the time.
Yeah. Anyone else from the board? Anyone in the audience care to speak about this application? Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Application number 5, John Odell, 1617 Scribner Road, Penfield, New York, 14526, requests an area variance from Article 3-3-37-A of the code to allow the construction of a garage addition with less setback at 1617 Scribner Road. The property is owned by John Odell and is zoned R-1-20. This is SBL number 109.13-1-19. This is application number 14Z-0023.
How you doing? I am John O'Donnell, and I live at 1617 Scribner Road, and it's a corner lot, which the other street is Dundas Drive. Applying for a variance today because I would like to build a addition to my existing garage, which is rather small, and when, a couple reasons that I want to go with the area that I'm asking for is if you look at the layout of the home next to me on the north side there's 10 foot, there's a 10-foot space between the other home. You couldn't put it anywhere but where I'm asking to put it. It's going to be done by a contractor, Dana Enterprises. I included some of the construction plans. I don't know if you had them or not. And the lot line, the drawing of my home shows the lot line to be 50 foot from Dundas Drive, but actually I'm 50 foot to a 15-foot easement that goes to Dundas Drive. So there's actually 65 foot to Dundas Drive, but my property line butts up to a 15-foot easement, which I maintain very well. There's a sign there for Piccadilly housing there. So the only feasible place to build that addition would be attached to the garage that's there now. It will be done identically, the best of the ability, to the old structure. The contractor's going to take the siding from the existing garage. That will be put on the front and the side that faces both roads. And he will get the closest matched 333 siding that he can to make the back of it the best he can match it, because obviously siding's probably from the 80s. So, and the siding's in great shape now. And he assures me that he can match it pretty good. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, how old is this home?
It was built in the 50s, I believe.
Okay, and how long have you owned it?
I've owned it for 3 years now.
Okay, and how large is the property?
It's a half-acre total, 200 foot down once. I got the actual drawing here. It's 200 foot down the side of Dundas and 100 foot across Scribner and 100 foot across my back lot. It's a pretty good-sized lot.
Okay, and the dimensions of the proposed addition are what?
Would be, hang on a second, 14 foot wide, which leaves me the 36 foot to the side, was where I'm asking for the 14-foot variant, or the 36, I'm asking for 14 foot of relief. And it's 21.6, which is shorter than the old garage, because the way the contractor's going to do it to tie it in properly is to stagger the front and stagger the roof a little bit, drop the roof line down a hair, so that way you're not getting a rough tie-in to the other roof. And so the new garage will be a little bit lower than the existing garage, and it will actually be a little smaller than and the garage door will be a single-car garage door.
Okay, and you said it would match the other one as close as you possibly could?
The siding? Yes.
The color?
Color,
The roof?
the roof shingles, and the garage
Everything?
door. Everything will be matched as close as possible.
Okay. Now, how many automobiles do you have?
I have one, and it's a Ford Explorer, and it won't even, believe it or not, I can barely fit it. If I pull into the garage that I have right now, that's why I'm going with a little bit bigger, the one than it is now as far as the original garage. If you pull the truck inside the garage, if you open the door up all the way, it hits the wall. So by the time I try to keep any type of equipment in there, like my lawnmower and just little things that you keep in your garage, you can't even park the car in there.
Okay, so you're just going to use it for general
That's it.
driveway things in your car?
Basically, yep.
Okay.
That's it.
And what about the driveway?
The driveway, well, as soon as, when they finish the actual building of the garage itself, I have I don't have a picture of that, the driveway has a turnaround, okay, which is pointing right towards the actual, you might show on my drawing, but we're going to tie, the driveway's going to be tied into the existing driveway.
Okay.
And which, if you look at it, I think Joe, was there looking?
Yep.
Yeah, there's not, there's actually not that much to even finish tying it in, because 90% of the driveway's already there, because of the turnaround.
Okay. And you're asking for 14-foot setback, right?
Well, I'll have, there'll be 36 foot left. I'm, from the 50 foot's the rule, I guess, right? So I need 14 foot of the 50, which leaves 36 foot to the easement.
14-foot variance.
Yes, 14 foot variance, that's correct.
And it meets all the other setbacks.
Yeah, it meets all the other setbacks, that's correct.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank
Okay.
you.
Anyone else from the board? Anyone in the audience? Okay, thank you.
Sal Ciaramitaro, 52 Devonshire Drive, Penfield, New York, 14526, requests an area variance from Article 3-3-37-A of the code to allow the construction of a garage addition with less setback at 52 Devonshire Drive. The property is owned by Julia and Sal Ciaramitaro and is zone R-1-15. This is SBL number 139.06-2-19. This is application number 14Z-0024.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sal Ciaramitaro. I live at 52 Devonshire. My wife and I bought 52 Devonshire back 8 years ago. The house was built in 1952, and we're the second owners. It's a small house for us, family of four, growing family of four. My daughter's 11 and my son is 9. It's approximately 1,500 square feet, and we love it so much because of the close proximity to four corners, and we back up to the high school practice fields. So it's an ideal location for us. I'm asking for a variance of 4 feet with the extension of a garage addition to the front of my garage. The plan is to convert a portion of the existing garage into livable space, a family room, so as to not impact the footprint of the property on the backside, which faces the field. We have 2 large maple trees that were, I'm guessing, planted in the 1950s or early 60s, and they provide a tremendous amount of shade for my kids' playhouse and for their trampoline and for all the activities we do in the backyard. So my proposal was to extend the garage forward towards Devonshire. When I started planning it, I realized that because of the uniqueness of my lot at the southwest corner, the road, Devonshire, enters into the turn towards 5 Mile Line Road. And as a result, as you can probably see, the property is odd-shaped at that corner. And so at the northwest corner of my property, I have over 60 feet setback. So with if it was possible to put the garage on the opposite end of the house, I would still be in compliance by roughly 3 or 4 feet. But because of that turn in the right-of-way at Devonshire, and because of the angle of my property, I'm requesting the 4-foot variance because I'm short. And I'm only at 46 feet by extending the driveway 16 feet forward. It will be a 1-car garage as it stands currently. So I'm not looking for an additional square footage in the sense that it would be the same size. Setback requirements to the south side for 50 Devonshire are 10 feet, and I took that into account and shifted the garage towards the main house, thus reducing the breezeway space between the garage and the house to accommodate the 10-foot setback on my neighbor's side. So it's a variance request for the frontage only.
How, are you adjacent to 50?
Yes, I believe 50 is next door, yes, to my right, facing the property.
And how close is your house? About 12 feet, if I'm reading this correctly?
Currently, it's 13 feet.
All right, okay. So it wouldn't be practical to build any addition on that side either?
Correct.
You'd need a variance if you did it that way as well?
Correct. And so
Okay.
that was the intent of shifting the garage towards the north, closer to the main house, so that I would not be infringing on the property.
All right, and right now, the entrance to the garage sets back from the entrance to the house, a few feet?
Yes.
And you're basically just taking the garage and moving it forward toward
Correct,
the road?
correct. It's roughly 3 feet set back, so that first 3 feet of the garage would be it would allow me to only have to go out 16 feet if I was to make that a straight wall inside the garage and take that additional 3 feet with the 16 feet and give me
Okay,
a
do you
sizable one-car garage.
Do you anticipate any drainage issues or grading problems with this move?
No, there's significant grading on each side right now. There's no standing water in my yard and the neighbor's yard, even after the current rains. In terms of the driveway, as you can see in the drawing, it pretty much will stay as is. I will replace it with new asphalt at the end of construction.
It's going to be shorter, though. when
It will
you're
be
done.
shorter, correct.
Any issue with that? Do you ever have occasion, or how often do you have occasion where you have to have people parking in the street?
Well, not very often. As a matter of fact, most times my garage is filled with toys and things of that nature, so we're parking our 2 cars in front of the garage now. So, no, I don't anticipate any issues.
Okay.
In terms of the garage and the overall look and feel, this is part of a larger renovation I'm hoping to do and replace the siding, bring it back to its original look and feel of the Cape Cod style, either clapboard or cedar shingle finish, replace the original windows in the front of the house, try to give it an old style flair.
That means you're going to have to paint it, though, right?
Yes.
Wow, okay. Sort of the reverse trend, but good for you. Any other questions from the board? Anyone in the audience? Okay, thank you.
Application number 7, Jake Cooper, AIA, 301 Idlewood Boulevard, Baldwinsville, New York, 13027. On behalf of Manish, Sanon, DDS, requests a special permit for signage under Article 7-7-3 from Article 7-7-13-B and Article 7-7-13-C of the code to allow greater building-mounted signage and more than one building-mounted sign at 2214 Penfield Road. The property is owned by M Square Development LLC and is zoned BNR. This is SBL number 140.01-1-7.4. This is application number 140Z-0022.
Good evening. My name is Manish Sanon. I'm a dentist in Penfield. I'm in the process of relocating my office to a building currently under construction at 2214 Penfield Road. This is part of the current urgent care Labella Spa Plaza. That site was originally developed in 2007, 2008. Our little plot, there's 4 plots on that current plaza. We're termed Building D, according to the planning board. Originally in 2007, 2008, when the site was developed, our building, our plot, was approved preliminarily with the intention that the parking and the entrance of our building be away from Penfield Road, in other words, on the north side. As a result, as we're building our building, being right on Penfield Road, like any business, we would want our signage to be on the main thoroughfare, being Penfield Road. But in addition, we're requesting that the board consider allowing a sign on the front of our building, so as patrons and patients, as they enter our building, would obviously know where they're entering. And that would mean an additional attached sign at the north end of our building, away from Penfield Road. The type of sign that was approved by the planning board and that we're considering is what's called a backlit halo sign. Again, not a lot of glare, more of a classier look, and that would be on both sides, both the north and the south side of the building. That's really about it, in a nutshell.
And basically, the style and the colors are as you submitted to us?
Correct, yeah.
How did you come up with the size of the signs?
It was originally by the architect, and then there was some tweaking when we went through one or two revisions through the planning board. And at the end, this was what they approved. We did change the style of the sign. I think it was originally it's called a channel sign, a little more bright, a little more glare, and then we changed it.
Will these signs be illuminated 24 hours a day?
Probably not. Primarily our business hours.
Okay, so you turn them off, and that's approximately what hours?
The hours vary. Our latest day is 8 p.m. on Thursday nights.
Okay. And is this a general dentistry practice?
Correct.
Okay. And the address is actually on Penfield Road?
Correct. 2214 Penfield Road.
So is it fair to assume that most people, at least the first time they come there, are going to be coming in from Penfield Road, since that's where the address is?
Correct, but I wouldn't say 100% because there's access from the Strong building directly behind through an access road. The way all the access roads are configured, you could come from 250 without going onto Penfield Road into this. In fact, that's how I usually get there because it's tough to make the left on Lloyd's corners there sometimes. So I would say the majority, but not entirely.
And would it be fair to say that most people that use the back entrance would come there after they've already been there before?
What are you referring as the back entrance? The frontage
what you're calling
facing?
the front entrance, the north entrance.
Okay, so the actual front of the building?
Yeah.
Okay, so they would come in correct through the front of the building, which faces north, away from Penfield Road. So there's no entrance on Penfield Road to
Right.
our building.
Except for the access to
The driveway into the plaza which is the current driveway into urgent care, is on Penfield Road. That's, again, it's not part of our plot.
Right.
They would enter our parking lot from that driveway.
All right, and how would somebody know to even get to the back, to the front, or I call it the back, referring to the...
I hope they would figure it out. But, and again, we had requested initially to reverse the parking from what was preliminary approved in 2007, but the planning board thought there might be traffic issues as people left urgent care and left our parking lot, and they wanted to keep it the way it was.
There's a tree that's in that north face in front of it. Are you going to do anything with that, or are you leaving that in place?
I'm not, there's no tree there.
When I looked, there was basically a tree that at least blocked part of the area where the sign was going to be. Got
Are you
kind of yellow
talking the
leaves.
south facade or the north facade?
North.
I'm not sure of the tree that you're talking about, because that's where the parking lot currently is.
Right, but there's a tree between, I think, the parking lot and the road. Unless I was hallucinating, man.
Honestly, I'm not sure of the tree that you're referring to.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there is a tree.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a building, sidewalk, and then parking lot.
Correct.
That's,
Well, if there is a tree, there won't be a tree.
I don't think there is. I've been there every day for the last 3 months while the building's under construction, so I'm not sure what
Well, I was
tree.
looking specifically where the sign was going to go, and it's rather obvious, and there was a tree that impacted that area. At least from the road, maybe not.
From Penfield Road.
No, from the back road coming in.
No, there's no trees that I could recall.
And in fact, actually, the north face actually is across from a vacant portion, right?
There's a drainage pond, a retention pond there.
So there's nothing really directly opposite it.
Correct. There's our parking lot, a retention pond, the driveway which connects to the Penfair Plaza.
Right.
Yeah. So there's really no tree in that. I mean, there's a few small trees, but they don't really go, I think, beyond 10 feet, if anything. And they're primarily around the drainage pond area.
And this would strictly be so that people could locate the parking area?
No, it's the front of our office building, so it'd be primarily like any other business. You would want your business name on the front of your building. Unfortunately, our front of our building is away from the main road. And And at the same time, like any business, you would want your name of your building on the main road as well, the main thoroughfare, which is Penfield Road, which unfortunately is the back end of our building. There's no entrance, there's no doors, there are just windows there.
Okay, that's all I have, Dan.
Are you gonna have a freestanding sign in what you call the rear, we call the front on Penfield Road? Is there a freestanding sign that's gonna say Smile Center?
So, not on our property. I am negotiating with the urgent care doctor to allow our signage on his pylon sign that's on Penfield Road, but we're still working out those details.
Okay, so if you had, since there's no entrance on Penfield Road, correct? And all you wanna, off of Penfield Road, I'm sorry, I should let you answer. There's no entrance to the Smile Center off of Penfield Road.
Correct. What is
Okay.
essentially the south facade.
Right.
There's no
If you had a
door.
freestanding sign there, you could negotiate a freestanding sign. It would identify the building as much as Smile Center on the side of the building, because you're allowed one freestanding sign and one building mounted sign. So you could do this without even needing a variance. What? What do you mean? What?
And I'm not following that.
If he has
No,
a
I-
freestanding sign on Penfield Road that says Smile Center,
Right.
he doesn't need Smile Center on that side of the building.
Right.
And he could have Smile Center on what you call the front of the building and your freestanding sign on Penfield Road. And since they can't get in from Penfield Road, what you're putting on the building that says Smile Center is simply to identify the building, which a freestanding sign would do too.
For some reason, I was under the assumption I was not allowed a freestanding sign because we were part of the entire plaza that was approved, which has a freestanding sign already,
Yeah.
and that would allow for two freestand, that was my understanding, but
Right.
Talk to me,
Yeah, I
Harold.
think that's right.
When Dr.
H.
Tom Hamoutarian proposed that freestanding sign, it was for the intentions to allow that to be the sign to represent all of the 4 parcels that constitute this little plaza area. There's the urgent care building, the spa at La Bella, this current property we're reviewing right now, and then there's a vacant piece of property further back that has,
Well, where is that freestanding sign gonna be located?
It's there.
it's there now.
Oh, okay.
Right,
So when
it's
he's
been
talking
there.
about
I
adding
didn't see it.
onto
Right. Physically, it's on your side of the access drive.
correct, but it's
But
on
it's
my
not on
property.
his property.
But he has to allow, Dr. Tom has to allow him to, put it- I mean, it sounds, that's like.
I was
sounds
told
like-
he doesn't have to,
Well,
I-
but we're
If he doesn't-
negotiating
That was a
it.
condition of approval, he
Can have
may.
his own.
He came to the board and requested that larger
what
sign
I
to
remember.
accommodate the 4 properties that encompass this parcel.
Yeah.
From a legal standpoint, I'm not sure if he were to deny access to an adjacent property that is part of this plaza, I don't know what we would do.
You ought to get that resolution and see if it is
Yeah.
a requirement of the resolution that he allow anyone that wants access
Because
on
I
that
Yeah,
side
thought the
to have it.
basis of the size was that they were gonna have 4 businesses
Yes.
advertising.
That's
right, that's
If
right.
you're only
I
gonna
mean,
have
you know,
3,
this
You guys,
guy.
one at a time, talk.
Okay, the guy that owns the sign, Harold, can't say, hey, I want this big sign because I'm gonna put 4 people on it, and then say to him, yeah, you're out, I'm putting my name on the whole thing.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, so
and-
then he
and-
can have a
and-
freestanding
And I
sign.
guess I think what you were trying to have the
Allude to.
conversation, right, allude to is that you may be able to have some freestanding signage that would accommodate your needs for visibility on Penfield Road. I think that's what Joe was sort of.
Separate from the existing sign of Dr. H's? Or do,
In combination with his existing sign.
You're allowed one
so,
freestanding.
so the
sign
legal
on the building.
definition, as I read it, of the existing sign that's on there, the freestanding sign, was that I would get a prorated portion of that sign based on the size of my lot. My lot, unfortunately, is, I think, 16 or 18%. I can't remember the number. It's a pretty small percentage of that entire property, which means my sign would barely be able to be read comparatively to the others.
Yeah, if he doesn't go on the big
So-
one, can he have his own, Harold?
I would have to really look at at that resolution, because I think the idea was that we gave him the ability to have more square footage in one freestanding sign than what an individual lot would have been allowed.
Well, he's saying he only gets 16% because of the size of his lot. If there's
He's-
one
but
sign,
that's-
there's 4 plots,
that's-
that means
that's a-
25%.
I understand, but I think that was an agreement that Dr. Tom, our attorney, had created for the 4 parcels, not necessarily something that we directed them to do relative to the zoning board
I
approval.
don't think it's in front of us anyways.
No.
Okay.
But he's raising a
wait,
fair
yeah.
issue of the applicant's ability to have a
His own sign.
freestanding sign somewhere.
In the initial presentation, I believe, a while back, I think in November, to the planning board, I think in the original submission, we did have a freestanding sign
Where?
in our submission to the planning board.
No, I'm sorry, where on the property was it?
At that point, we had reversed the parking lot, and we asked for the parking lot to be on the side,
So south
on the
side.
south side.
So that your
with a
sign
free
must have been
siding,
on the
with a
south
free
side.
standing sign there. They said, no, we want the parking lot as it was approved in 2007 on the north side. And at that point also, I believe they had said, put the signage on the building, on the facade. So we removed that.
So what, I want to be clear on what caused you to change your mind about the freestanding sign on Penfield Road?
I think just having a freestanding sign already there with urgent care's freestanding sign, I think it'd be a little clutter. I think having it on the facade of the building would make it look a lot more classy, similar to, some of the, if you, like
I get it.
Fairport Savings Bank, like you'd mentioned.
Okay, anybody else from the board? I have one question. Are you the
Sure.
only occupant in this building?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone in the audience care to speak about this application? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Application number 8, Carmine Torchia, P.E., Torchia Structural Engineering and Design, P.C., 625 Panorama Trail, Rochester, New York, 14625. On behalf of the Genesee Conservation League Incorporated, requests an expansion to an existing non-conforming use under Article 4-4-15 of the Code to allow the construction of an addition at 1570 Old Penfield Road. The property is owned by the Genesee Conservation League Incorporated and is zone R-1-20. This is SBL number 123.20-2-1.1. This is application number 14Z-0020.
Put this up, it might help a little. All right, hello, everyone. My name is Carmine Torchia, Torchia Structural Engineering, and our office is located at 625 Panorama Trail, Rochester, New York. And with me is, tonight is John Fitzpatrick and Wayne Cicchetti will be here to represent the Genesee Conservation League. The property is located at 1570 Old Penfield Road, and it is zoned R-1-20. And it's approximately 33.2 acres in size. And we're here tonight because we would like to construct a one-story, approximately 1,700 square foot addition, which is will be located right here. It's this darker area there. It will fit between the existing building on each side. That will be used for additional indoor range space. We are not asking for any new parking because there won't be any new membership as a result of this addition. In order for us to construct the addition, we will need a variance because our property is pre-existing non-conforming. We feel that it's a small request, and we have the following reasons why we feel we should be granted the variance. The size of the addition will only affect approximately 0.13 acres of the whole site. We believe that
This small addition will not have any adverse effect on the neighborhood or any of the surrounding environment. Because of where the addition is located, most of it will be hidden. You only see a little bit here in the front, so no one will even know it was there. We also have one huge advantage if you grant this variance, because this addition will allow more of the members the opportunity to practice indoors, and as a result, limit the amount of time that they're outdoor and limit the noise. So that's all I have. If you have any questions, I can answer any engineering questions, and John can answer any day-to-day questions.
What is the construction of this going to be comprised of? What
It's
material?
masonry, it'll be block.
Similar to what's there now?
Yes, exactly, yeah. It'll match, actually, I think I have so it's right here, and it's all block, and it's going to match the existing building.
Flat roof?
Flat, yes, flat roof. Yep.
And about how far will it protrude beyond the existing two legs of this?
11 feet 10 inches.
Yeah, this is kind of a horseshoe-shaped configuration
Exactly.
now. This fills in the horseshoe, comes out another 12 feet.
About 12 feet, yeah.
All right. Does it impact anything, you're going to have to remove any trees or any
No.
vegetation?
No, we don't have to do anything.
Okay. And there's nothing really, other than buffering directly opposite where this is coming out, right?
Right, yeah, there is nothing.
Okay. And if I understand this correctly, this is not intended to increase the number of members
Correct,
that can be there, so this is for the existing members.
yes.
And this is going to replace a portion of this function would be similar to what can now be done outside,
Yes, that's correct.
am I right? So that some of the people that would now use the outside range would use this instead,
Yes,
which would result in obviously less noise than if they were outside shooting.
that's correct.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have.
Very nice, Mike.
Is there any soundproofing?
The addition, yeah, there is soundproofing. Also, I'll talk about the actual construction, and then John can talk a little bit more about that. But the actual addition will be constructed with 8-inch concrete block, which will be filled solid. So that definitely will help the sound. And there's also other things, John, if you want to tell them about this.
Can I ask one quick question before that with the soundproofing? Do you have the decimals, approximately, the decibels of outside as opposed to what you would hear outside from this?
Yes, John Fitzpatrick, I'm an executive officer at Genesee Conservation League. We had an independent engineering firm do sound testing at the facility. So we did indoor and outdoor comparisons, as well as comparisons with the traffic in the local area. And so we do have those reports available. I think, I mean,
You know approximately what the difference is?
the reason, yeah, I'll let you speak to the actual.
Wayne Cicchetti, president of Genesee Conservation League. Approximately the reduction of noise by decibel level in the existing range was dropped almost 19 decibels. Currently, the new range would be even better than that, because the intention is to do more soundproofing on the interior walls and the exterior wall, along with the baffling that will be done for the termination of air out through the exhaust.
So do you have a percentage of decrease as opposed to what would be the decibels on an outside?
Projected, it will be better than the 19% that we currently were able to do on the indoor range, so it will be better.
Okay.
Determining how much at this point, can't really determine. Until it's done, you really don't know, but it will be better than what we currently
It's
have.
at least 19%.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask a follow-up on
Yes,
that.
sir.
Do you anticipate, this is going to be an additional range,
That is
right?
correct.
So you would anticipate more shooting?
No, sir. It will be bringing folks that are currently outdoor shooting to an indoor facility. So it's
All right.
not going to increase.
So the outdoor range is going to be less busy?
It will be less busy.
All right, I
Yes.
got it. Thanks.
And how many members do you have?
slightly over 2,200.
Wow.
Wow, that, good.
Do you have membership drives, or how do people know they're even there?
It's pretty much word of mouth and everything now. We no longer do membership drives. We haven't done them in 4 years.
Okay, so if you have 2,200 now, if more people came, how many could you accommodate?
Currently, the ranges are not so busy that what we have for them is still capable of handling actually many more, but the intent is not to increase membership any more than what it is.
How many times a month approximately do your members use this range?
I have some members that don't use the range at all. There are others that use it once a week. So hard to determine. It's an individual's preference, and for the most part, if I had to calculate on a majority, 3 times a year for some. As I said, others may go once a week and others don't use it at all, but over 2,200, 3 times maybe.
Okay. And so generally speaking, is there generally somebody in there shooting most of the day?
No, ma'am.
No?
No.
And you open at night too?
The indoor facility is open until 11 p.m.
I'm asking all these questions because I live relatively close.
I know.
Not that close, but we still can hear
She's a
shots.
small target, though, so don't worry.
Like you. Back at you. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
I get a couple more. On average, how many people use it members use it at any one time? Just approximately.
And an average,
Yeah,
less than 10.
okay. Would be shooting at one time?
Yes, sir.
And is-
On an average,
Right.
yes.
And as a general rule, do people prefer to shoot indoors rather than outdoors if given the choice?
Depending on the time of the year,
Obviously, so it's more weather related.
yes.
Okay. There's no other advantage to being indoors as opposed to outdoors?
No.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, do we have any idea why the building was built in that horseshoe shape?
No, I really can't give you an answer to that.
Was there an addition, or was it built like that from the?
No, sir. The original building was built in 1943, and then the westerly side that's currently there that we use for our meeting hall was built in 1949. The indoor pistol range was built between 1971 and 1973.
Okay. Well, that may explain the
Yeah.
kind of odd
So at that
configuration.
time, some of the electrical was already put in, so I'm assuming that is why they did not connect the two together.
Okay. Anything else from the board? Anyone in the audience? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Application number 9, James Baglioli, Delta Sonic Car Wash Systems Incorporated, 570 Delaware Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14202, requests a modification to an pre-existing non-conforming use under Article 4-4-15 of the code to allow the installation of an overhead door and a special permit for signage under Article 7-7-12-B and Article 7-7-13-C to allow a larger freestanding sign and a modification to the existing building-mounted signage at 1660 Penfield Road. The property is owned by Delta Sonic Car Wash Systems Incorporated and is zoned LB. This is SBL number 138.08-1-26.1. This is application number 14Z-0025.
Good evening, I'm Matthew Oates with Delta Sonic. We are requesting some architectural modifications to the existing Delta Sonic facility. I would like to point out we aren't asking for any building expansion, any site plan modifications, or any change in use. We are proposing to replace the existing mansard gas canopy roof with a new flat metal canopy. That is depicted in this picture here. We have the existing canopy is shown on the bottom, and then we're proposing to be on the top, just a little more modern look, goes with the Delta Sonic branding that we currently have. We are proposing to,
Actually, I'll hold this up. Do you need to put it up on a, well, there's clips on the top there that you may be able to, If it's heavy, you may be able to use 2 or 3 of them.
There we go.
I hate
Thank
to
you.
see you straining.
So on the south elevation, we are proposing to install new brick along the front and then to also do a decorative architectural cornice along the top. On the other 3 facades, the west, the east, and the north, we are proposing some new ephes to kind of improve the overall appearance. In addition, on the north elevation, we are proposing to install a 10-foot wide overhead door. This is in line with the existing detail shop that's here. Currently, to get cars into the detail shop, we have to bring them in this door and kind of drive them over the conveyor belt across, so it kind of makes for not the best operation. So we're trying just to overall improve the operation of what's there. We're not proposing any new services there, it's just the existing services. And then on the west elevation, we're proposing a new man door. This provides access to the mechanical room. Currently, to get there, someone has to walk through the car wash tunnel, so if there's a car there, that kind of gets soaked while they're accessing it. We are also proposing new building-mounted signage. The signage will actually be less than the amount of signage that is currently there, so it'll be a little smaller in overall square footage. And then we are proposing a new decorative ground sign as well. The existing ground sign is currently just kind of the white sign that's there. We're proposing to upgrade it with brick, kind of match the look of the building, kind of blend everything in. It is a slight increase in size, but overall, we think it's a much nicer appearance than what is currently there, and we think it helps to tie kind of everything in with the new brick and everything that we are doing. If the board has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yes, could you talk again about the, what's coming off the building in terms of signage? I can't quite see it on your rendering there.
So what is coming off the building is we're replacing the signage for like the detail and the oil change. We're replacing it with just new signage. It's basically the same. I believe this one currently says oil lube shop, and now we're just putting oil change. And this one says detail shop, I believe, and now it's going to say detailing. It's basically in the same location as it currently is, and it'll just be a little less square footage than what is currently there.
Okay. It's just hard for me to read the words, but they're pretty much the same words as what you're saying.
Yes, they're pretty much the same words. Actually, it's Sonic Lube and then Detail Shop. So as opposed to Sonic Lube, we're going with oil change, and instead of Detail Shop, we're going with detailing. And that'll kind of match in, we think, with the white and with the brick and everything, just kind of look a little nicer.
Okay, and the initial changes that you were talking about seem like the main reasons for those changes are operational and safety. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it is.
All right. So really, the only issue that I have with your application is why do you need a bigger sign out front?
The only reason it's bigger is kind of we're replacing the overall size, and then we're also adding just the actual Delta Sonic name right on top.
Yeah.
That's where
The Delta Sonic name, I'm okay. That honestly, the Super Kiss part seems a little loud to me, to be quite honest with you. So I'm just wondering if is there any room on the content of the sign, if you will?
Oh, yes, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
the content of the sign, yes, we can
Yeah.
definitely change the content. I believe that they were looking to kind of just provide.
Yeah, like right now you have something that just says lowest gas price, which is kind of bland, and you have that. It almost looks like you need a little bit something more than what you have now, because that white structure is just encompasses most of your sign. But I just, and the other board members can speak for themselves, but the Super Kiss, it just seems like a little, almost like something out of a Disney movie, to be honest with you. No offense to the designer, so.
I mean, we do have that, we just use the words, I mean, that is what we refer to our main car wash as, is the Super Kiss. I mean, that was kind of why we have it there. Obviously, we'd be open to if the board would like other things. I mean, I don't think we were looking specifically to put one there, and then, I don't know if we were thinking possibly down the line it may change, but if the board wants certain things, doesn't want it, we'd be happy to work with the board on what the signed copy can be.
Okay.
You got this get Super Kissed. Where is that sign gonna be? This little one.
Is that different than Super Kiss It?
On the way out or something? What is it, number 7,
This
Carol?
must be going over here.
Yeah, it's number 7 on your detail drawing here.
That goes on, it's an existing sign that's on, I believe it's on the entrance to heading into the car wash.
Yeah.
So
Before
in
you
the
get to
rear of the building.
Before you get to the little
Prep hut, I believe.
prep hut or the pay booth, yeah.
But it's an existing sign that's on the,
Yeah.
Internal?
internally, yes, I believe it's over here in this area. There isn't a sign.
It's placed in an area that all 3 access lanes can see so that they can see what services are available there.
So does it say number 4 there, car wash, and then this get Super Kissed? Are they in close proximity, or where are they?
The,
Yeah, you got
Do you wanna look at mine here?
yeah, I'm trying to see which one are you?
That's going in the front.
Is it in the front, or, and then where is it in proximity to the other one?
Those, I believe, are actually on the rear. That's an existing, I believe that is on the rear of the building over the car wash. Yes, I believe that one's on the rear identifying the car wash tunnel. It is, that one is an existing sign, that's not a sign we are proposing. That's also an existing.
Well, do you go into the car wash, you don't go in from the rear, do you, or do you?
Yes,
You do go in from the
back of
rear?
building, yes, and
Okay.
the oil change and detailing are the only 2 of the building mounted signs that we are proposing to replace.
Okay,
So all the rest are existing signs that are currently on the building, and they'll be maintained as existing. So the oil change, the detailing, and then the ground sign are the only 3 signs that we are proposing to change.
Yeah, I agree with Dan. I like this, I like your freestanding sign, but I think, and Harold, am I correct, where it says Delta Sonic on the top, that's kind of what makes it illegal, right? I mean, because that's part of the sign then, the facade, the top of it becomes
Pushing it
part of the
above
sign.
the 20 square foot limit,
Yeah,
problem, yeah.
okay, so if, and I'm not saying get rid of Delta Sonic, but if you get rid of any kind of advertisement up there, if you wanted to put a great big Delta Sonic in where Super Kiss it is, I think that would fall and you don't even need a variance, probably.
The need for a special permit wouldn't be required there, correct? Yeah. If you could keep it under 20 square foot per face. You
Yep.
see what Joe's
And
In
I-
other
yeah.
words, where, you know where I'm talking about.
Yes, I know
where
what
it
you're
says
talking about,
Super Kiss it.
and I think our thought was to have our logo be smaller on the top, and then have a section where we could do other copy besides just
But
the
that's
Delta
what
Sonic
makes
name.
it Need a variance. is
Yes,
what we're
which is,
saying.
which is why I'm here requesting one, yes.
That's a good point, yeah.
Might
Okay.
suggest you have a 20 or 30-foot tower that protrudes above the building that says Delta Sonic on it. Maybe you don't need a freestanding sign to identify Delta Sonic. Just a suggestion.
Oh, and you made me think of something there. This depiction that you have of that I've commented on, the super,
Yes.
is that, will that change? Like one of these LED
It's not an LED,
billboards?
it's not an LED sign.
It's not.
No, it would be a standard, what would be sign panel. But I mean, but it's not like it's built into the sign in a way where it can't be removed in the future without tearing down the sign. That's just kind of what I meant by that.
So you don't hit a computer button and change what's on the
No, you don't.
display?
It's not like you'll see flashing
Yeah.
gallon of milk, $1.99, 20 seconds later, 12-pack of Coke, $3.99, or different things like that. No. The The idea is not to have it be flashing and change the copy of it every,
Are there 12 packs of Coke?
I have no idea.
I know there are 12 packs of other things, but not Coke. I don't know.
I believe so. I try to,
He got
I think
stuck in
I
there.
mainly drink the
Not to
12
go
packs of the
there.
other things.
He doesn't know he never bought Coke. See, it was the other thing.
All right. Okay, anything else from the board? Anyone in the audience? Okay, come on up, ma'am.
My name is Joan Fleckenstein, and I live on Winterset, which runs behind Delta Sonic. And I have a very nice hill across the street from me to the left. On the right, I have a lot of light pollution from Delta Sonic. I have a row of spotlights which face Delta Sonic, which face my house. And it's very distracting. And I can't understand these signs at all, but I don't think, they've got plenty of business. I don't think they need to enlarge anything. I don't think they need to get anything brighter. People know where they are, and it just should be modified, I believe. It's just very distracting, and a lot of light pollution involved. Not only that, but noise and whatever. But I just feel it should be toned down.
Okay?
How late are the lights on that disturb you?
I'm sorry?
How late at night are the signs on that disturb you, the lights on the signs?
How late at night do the lights stay on, the ones that bother you?
They seem to stay on all night long. There's a row of spotlights facing Delta Sonic, and when I look at it at night, they're on.
Facing the building?
I'm sorry?
Facing the building?
Facing the building, facing me. And they seem to be on all the time.
Where would your, just so I can understand, where would your house be? That way I can look into it and try to get it. Okay, so basically, just due north.
Where are the lights?
Yeah, you should check to see if there are any lights that stay on all night, and if they are, what's the reason?
And if they can.
I will absolutely
tilt
look
it
into that.
down, you know?
Yeah, thanks. Let me ask you, though, with what you are proposing, do you anticipate any increase in the lighting?
No, we're not. We're not proposing any new lights at all.
How about any increase in the current noise level?
No, we're not.
I think obviously she would like both to decrease, and
Yes.
that's not going to happen, you don't think either, but,
No, I don't. But
Okay.
we're not
But no
proposing
increase.
anything that would increase the noise at all.
okay.
And then also- That's my card, so you can give me a call.
He's going to do what he can to get those lights less bothersome. If there's anything he can do, he'll check it out. Anyone else in the audience? Come on up, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming in.
Hi, Jim Crilly, 10 Winterset Drive, the same road, and I want to back up everything that was just mentioned about the noise pollution along with the lighting. It's getting pretty bad. Last year, there was a concrete demo that was being done, I believe during the summertime frame. It was being done on Sunday night and ended up at 11 o'clock. No one listened to what we had to say. We were calling up the police to have them stop. We actually contacted the town the next day. But being a neighbor right behind Delta Sonic, we put up with a lot. We put up with a lot of noise. And granted, we knew they were there when we moved in, but I thought we were taken advantage of pretty good last year. And I don't want that to happen again with what's going on with the signage.
Okay. So what, you're just pointing out to us that there was a construction project there last night that went to 11 o'clock or thereabouts on a Sunday night?
Last summer.
Yeah, well, there's no reason, unless it's an emergency, like a pipe burst or something like that,
Nope,
that something
it
like that
wasn't.
should happen. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, it doesn't really matter. Let's have the applicant come back up and address that. So, you know,
For the specific construction last summer, I can't speak to the specific work.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. My only thought was they were looking at doing it at a time that was off business hours.
Right,
I'm not sure
nobody
why they
getting
chose
the car
that.
washed.
As part of this, we would take a restriction on construction hours. I'm not sure in the town code. I would think there is probably in place hours that we can and can't do anything?
Basically, there's no work on Sundays.
Okay.
And then Saturdays, it's 8 until 4, Monday through Friday, 7 till 8.
Okay.
And I seem to recall, we did get a call last year on it.
There's a
and-
few of us, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
there's a few neighbors.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I think there was a few neighbors that called in, and when we contacted the representatives over at Delta Sonic, I think they were to the point where the majority of the work had been completed already, so there wasn't a need for them to do any further work, after the hours that would have been allowed.
That's what irked us the most, is that, it's again, 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, it was right in between hot and cold weather, where your windows were open, you didn't need the air, and so on. So the windows were open, kids are going to bed, we got to get up in the morning, we go over there at 9 o'clock. This is cement work being done, this is jackhammers, this is cement being dumped into, it sounded like every cement piece went into an empty truck, you know what I mean? It just bounced all over the place. It was very, very loud. And in essence, we were told, tough luck. And there was no recourse we could do, nothing we could do to stop it. And of course, it was being done, off hours, because, you want the revenue to come in during the day.
So Harold, let me ask you the restrictions on the construction hours. Do you know that they will apply to the type of work that they're proposing here, changing
yes,
signs?
absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're committing that that no work is gonna be done outside of those
Yes, I commit
hours?
to that, and I also, first, I want to apologize as well, because from our business standpoint, Delta Sonic it's a family-run business, and at no point, if the owners heard someone working for them tell someone tough luck, that's not someone who would work for the company. I can tell you that. All I can do is apologize for what happened. I can't change what happened. But I will also let them know as well, because I do see them on a regular basis, that that's something that happened there. So. to
Well,
make
you
sure
can
it
do
doesn't
more than
happen again.
apologize, you can commit that it's not gonna happen
Yeah,
again.
it is.
and you've
I
done that.
absolutely
You've
commit
done
that
it.
it won't happen
That's
again, and
good.
I'll make sure our Director of Construction is aware, no work on Sundays, no work after 4, it was 8 to 4 on Saturdays, 7 to 8 during the week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll absolutely make sure.
All right. Anything else from the board?
I just would like to ask the neighbor, do you have problems with noise other times? Or is this,
Yes. Yes. The biggest one for me, I'm at the north side of Winterset Drive, so I'm not immediately behind them, but I'm on the Winterset. I'm more towards the Panorama Trail Road, right on the corner there. And I don't know if you understand, the loud beeping that happens, and I forget if it's every time a car goes in or what, there's a huge blaring horn or a beep that goes off. And this is going on, late at night. And I can hear it all the way, to where I'm at. But the noise level, it's bad.
They're closed by
It's
9
bad.
though, in general, right?
It's late. I can't say the actual time, but it seems like it's very late, where this jarring noise comes out of the blue.
Do
I
you
don't
know
know.
what it is?
No, I don't. I'm sure some
any
other
idea?
ones do, but it has to do with the cars going in and out.
The beeping would be when the cars leave the interior detailing shop and then the oil change shop. When they come out, the employees are instructed, they beep the horn to signal that a car is coming out. So if anyone's walking by and they can't see, that they know a car is coming out. It is a safety thing for our employees, because we do have a lot of people that
So
walk
it's a car
across.
horn?
Yes, it is.
All right,
It is
it's
a
not
car
like the
horn.
backup horn on it when a truck is backing up?
No, it shouldn't be like that.
Well,
It
that's
should
what-
be.
I'm sorry.
Loud.
Okay, it's
Oh, yeah.
loud, but is it a car horn or is it the backup of a truck?
No, it's I'd say a lot louder than a car horn.
Oh.
A lot louder.
I'll look.
Yeah, look into that too,
Look
please.
into it and
I don't know what
absolutely
else it could be.
Well, I mean, if a car is inside of a building.
Echo?
You're gonna get echo, and you're gonna get the sound sort of concentrating and coming out of the door opening itself. So
But
it's.
that would be away from where he is.
Well, because then it would come out, I guess, if the
No,
door
but
in
some
the
of the
back is
vehicles-
open, if you're beeping in the front, it would.
Yeah,
Wow.
if they're opening up a door towards the rear because they bring, I could see that,
This is not a car horn, just a.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not. It's the same sound, it's the same decibel level.
And is
we
it
were
throughout
talking
the
about.
day?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all day long.
All right, so obviously it's not something that just doesn't happen at night. Okay.
We can find out tomorrow.
I will definitely look into it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is that the end of the discussions for that one, or?
Yeah, no one else in the audience unless Pete wants to come up and talk about something.
Okay.
Yeah? You don't want to stretch out a little bit? Been sitting in that chair all night. You
No, he
okay?
got up. He got once.
He can chill anytime he wants to.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your,
And
Your
and last
commitments.
but not least, application number 10, Ed Martin, P.E., Land Tech Surveying and Planning, P.L.L.C., 3708 St. Paul Boulevard, Rochester, New York, 14617. On behalf of Lawrence Giangreco, DDS, request an area variance from Article 3-3-78-B, Article 3-3-78-C, Article 4-4-2-B, and Article 4-4-11 of the Code to allow the construction of a dental office, appurtenant parking facilities with more lot coverage, less setback, less buffer, and smaller parking spaces at 1285 and 1289 Creek Street. The property is owned by Creek Street LLC and Zone GB. This is SBL numbers 093.15-1-50, 093.15-1-55. This is application number 14Z-0026.
Can I just say one thing before you start, okay?
Yes, sir.
On your land tech this paper that you gave us,
Yes, sir.
okay, you listed 5 variances.
Yes, sir.
There are 6.
Okay.
All right, and I want you to be aware, if you look at the top right-hand corner of your map, it's a 47 feet distance to Creek Street. You need a 33-foot variance up there, so that's the 6th one.
Actually, I think we have that under 3-78C, 80-foot front setback. We're proposing a 47-foot. It's at the bottom of our letter.
right in the middle.
Yeah, I see it, but
This
that's
there.
not, this says, this is 47 foot.
Yeah, from Creek.
Okay, well, you're missing one of them. I'll go through it, but go ahead.
Okay.
You go through it and we'll talk at the end. How's that?
Okay, well, I was going to ask him to repeat it. He might have to. Okay. My name is Ed Martin. I'm an engineer with Land Tech. I'm here tonight representing Dr. Giangreco, who is also in attendance in the event that you have questions that are most appropriately answered by him. We should probably dive right into the 5 versus 6 issue. We identified 5 variances, and this is a result of pre-application meetings and discussions with staff, and they're outlined at the bottom of our letter dated April 10th of this year. The 65% maximum lot coverage, we're proposing 71.1 for number 1285, which is the northern lot where the new building is to be constructed. It's worth noting that the 2 properties cumulatively fall below the maximum 65% lot coverage. The second variance we've identified is the 20-foot side setback. You'll note at the north end of the property, the attached garage proposes a 4.7-foot side setback. It's worth noting that we have had discussions with Tim Hortons. The proposal, development, and variances were well received by them. And based on our meeting 2 weeks ago with the planning board, we'll be adding a cross-access easement. I'm sure you're aware that the town seeks to combine access points whenever possible, and you'll note in this application, both 1285 and 1289 propose a shared access. So what this extra effort will do is to provide a cross-access easement to Tim Hortons to the north. Thirdly, we identified the 33-foot front setback to Creek Street, whereas 80 feet is typically required. The 4th one is a 100-foot buffer to the residential district. You'll note the house that's existing on number 1289 is only 16.2 feet from the property line. In some municipalities, that would be considered a pre-existing non-conforming condition. In discussions with staff, they said, let's clean this up, make it a matter of record, so we're asking for that variance. And lastly, that we've identified is a variance for the typical parking space, whereas 9 by 20 is typically required. We're asking for 9 by 18. that has proven to be sufficient for the vehicles parking at Dr. Giangreco's practice. And it also serves to keep the impervious area or lot coverage down as much as possible. So with that, I would be happy to answer questions and hopefully identify the sixth variance that was mentioned.
Okay, well, let's go through it. We have some discrepancies. I'm looking at the sheet, and let's go through them one at a time. 33 feet from Creek Street, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's the one I just pointed out.
Yep.
15.3 foot from the north property line.
That is the side setback, yep. of that.
Okay. 6 foot from the south property line.
I have 14 foot.
No, Joe, you are correct, and I think that's the one that you've missed in some of your discussions, is that property line that exists between the two, well, there's two parcels. There's a 14-foot setback that you're proposing off of that south property line for the new building.
So then, so the 4.7, because it's a smaller setback, doesn't apply, we would have to apply separately for that?
Yes, because they're from two different sides.
Understood.
Yes.
Okay. Are we able to add that to the application?
Yeah,
tonight?
I don't,
Okay.
it's in
Okay.
here, and it was advertised, but I was just trying to bring to your attention that when you address it, okay, if you address it in the beginning, it made no difference, we could have went through it afterwards, but I guess we'll go through it, like you said, 33 feet from Creek Street, you know, that's the variance that you need. 15-foot 3 from the north property line, that is Tim Hortons.
Yep.
Correct? So you're asking a variance from another parking lot.
Yep.
The 6 foot from the south property line, that's actually from that house, correct? That sits next to you. And that actually, yeah.
Yeah, it's the 14-foot setback that we have labeled there. I understand that we need a 6-foot variance for that.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And then a 6.1 lot coverage, and that's just, now we're talking just coverage on a lot. And since it's a unique lot, the way it sets, it's not really so bad as what they're talking about.
Right,
You're just asking for
we're
a
over
variance.
the code maximum, but, and that's just for 1285, that's just for the north lot. If you look at the two lots, if they were
Combined.
a single one, we would actually be conforming and under that 65% maximum.
Right, and you're looking for a 2-foot variance from the parking stalls from 20 to 18 feet.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and last but not least, 72-foot variance for parking from the buffer, right? You're talking about a 100-foot buffer?
Yes, sir, that's that pre-existing one.
Okay, now, you know, I have one other question for you too, and what is that other little building gonna be that's there on the other property?
It's undetermined at this time. Dr. Giangreco is considering his options, leasing it out, perhaps selling it. Nothing is even remotely set into stone as far as even conceptual. But it's commercial property, so he would seek to use it in that manner, whether himself or selling it off and marketing it for that purpose.
If you did, well, see, I think that's got a little bit involved in there. If he wants to sell it off, what part would he sell off? He wouldn't sell off the original property because that's where you're putting some of your parking spaces.
Well, he would sell the southern parcel. We've identified the 30 spaces that are more darkly shaded for him, so we could easily add easements over that for him to retain use of those parking spaces. But the property itself that he would sell would be the southern parcel that in here is outlined in red.
Yeah, but my point is, if you took the darkened area from the front of the building, correct? From 95, you have that added in front of the existing building, that's shaded in.
Right in here. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
So now if you took that away, it would make a difference on your parking spaces. You'd have to take them back from in back of the building.
Yeah,
So-
you know, we've talked about that with Dr. Giangreco, and also the planning board had some feedback on that. I have a feeling that those spaces are ultimately going to disappear as part of this project as this gets developed. You'll note that we propose 19 parking spaces to the rear of that existing home as land bank parking, not knowing what's going to go in there. We thought we'd build some flexibility in there. Dr. Giangreco's comfortable with maintaining the use of the spaces to the rear of his building. And he has never had any intention of using those for his practice whatsoever. It's more of a marketing issue for for that
Right,
property.
and I understand that, and I don't have a problem with it because you have plenty of spaces in the back. But when you talk about selling it off, then all of a sudden you're gonna have to take some of those shaded blue spaces, put them in the back, and he wouldn't be able to sell off the whole property if you're developing it individually.
Yeah, and I think that if I were to look into my crystal ball, so to speak, that as he develops his property, I think one of the first steps will be removal of those parking spaces. I have a feeling that the planning board, they've spoken fairly strongly about that. It's also, I think it's part of the reason why they wrote a letter in support of our variances.
Yeah, I was gonna read that,
Because we're proposing so much parking to the rear. I mean, to try to configure this lot to completely conform with zoning would be extremely difficult. So all of that to say, I think that those will disappear and not adversely affect Dr. Jean Greco's practice, and that the 19 in the rear of the property and the 2 garage spaces are usable.
Okay,
But Joe, can I jump in there?
Yeah,
just for a second?
certainly.
But
Go
to the
right ahead.
extent, for whatever reason, they don't disappear, and in the event that your client decides to sell that property, you have said that you would do something to retain the right to park there, or at least the ones in the back?
The ones in the rear.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
yeah, and that's not, again, we're not talking about a problem, but if you ever, you know, this is something that I brought up, and maybe I'll bring up to you, and if you want to see if you want to do something about it, now, fine, we can do it. That's a commercial building, that other building, right? Because it
Yes,
was
sir.
used in office before.
Yep.
Well, we can't seem to find, if you need a variance from your new building, if that was commercial, you probably need a variance from that building from Creek Street. If that was used as a business, there's a home, and then there's a business. And if you look at your drawing, your proposed building, okay, is almost level with the old building. See it, according to Creek Street?
Correct.
Okay,
Which
so-
was part of the thinking and the planning behind that, was to match the setbacks south of us.
That's correct. But if you want to use that individually in the future, okay, as maybe, just maybe, a separate partial, or a separate parcel, or even right now, if you're going to use that building in some commercial way, you probably need a variance from Creek Street from that building.
For the setback, you mean?
Yeah, for the
Okay.
setback. And this is not a big deal. It's already there, it's existing, and technically, the new building that you're putting up that's parallel with the old building makes it very symmetrical.
Right.
So to get a variance on that, on the old building, is as easy as getting it on the new building.
Right, so I guess the first question I would ask is does the board want to add that? If it wasn't identified, I don't know if it can be, or I can ask Dr. Jean Greco if it's an issue with marketing it as a need for variance. As I said, it's a pre-existing structure.
Well, let me give you an example of something that might happen. We'll have our lawyer chime in as to whether we can add it here. I think the issues are the same. But let's say you go to sell that property. The lawyer for the buyer says, well, geez, it's closer to the road than it's supposed to be. Where's your variance? Oh, well, no variance was required because it's pre-existing.
Right.
Well, show me that it is. I mean, Joe's giving you sound advice here in terms of trying to get the variance.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. I wasn't trying to fight it
No,
per se,
no,
but-
not at all,
I understand
not at all.
that.
And the reality is, the fact that the planning board is requesting that you line the buildings up together is something that weighs in your favor.
Right.
The fact that the building is there and has been there for years, and therefore, and really hasn't caused any problems, is also something that weighs in
Yeah.
your favor as well. So unless our lawyer says there's no way in heck that we can add it, it's been advertised, both of these properties have been advertised for area and setback variances. It seems like it's reasonable to me to add it. Yeah, great.
Okay, so would the doctor?
Shake your head, yes.
Yeah, that's right,
So
yeah.
what they're saying is, let's add a front setback for the existing building, so when you sell it, there is no question about the zoning compliance for
Right,
that.
it's gonna make it easier, and no
Exactly.
lawyer will get involved.
You know, I
Trying to-
appreciate that. Too often, I run into people that find fault with plans and don't come up with solutions, so I really appreciate the effort to point out the solution there. Thank you.
No problem.
Well, let's not forget, lawyers have to eat too.
But they eat so well, you know, that's it, Dan, that's all I have.
And then the new person doesn't have to come into us.
Exactly, exactly.
All right, any other questions from the board?
No.
No? Anyone in the audience?
Can I just make, I apologize, Danny.
No, why
One more
stop at
statement.
12, Joe?
Yeah, all right. In that, do you see where the building hits Creek Street there? I think you'll have to get together with Harold. We'll give you a variance, but we usually give it in exact measurements. So if you get the distance from the building from Creek Street, we'll just plug it in right now, say you have a variance, but then he'll plug in what the variance will be.
That's good, because it doesn't look like Creek Street is exactly parallel with the
Correct.
balance of the
So
building.
we'll find the shortest distance and we'll be in touch with him.
There you go, and we'll grant
Absolutely.
that variance, okay.
No one in the audience? Well, great. Very, very efficient tonight, board. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll take a brief recess and then reconvene in the back.
You're right, Dan, there's no one in the audience.